Hello everyone, it's Melody with designbymelody.com here today to share a layout I did. It's a 12 by 12 layout and it's titled Little Boys and Happy Mamas, and you'll see here I have an issue with my title. I thought this was taken at Easter time, but this is totally not taken at Easter and I had to go back and fix it. So at first it'll say Easter Boys and then I switch it to Little Boys, but you'll see that as we go along. So I'm just starting here with a base. It's kind of a blue patterned. It kind of reminds me of like a Mayan pattern. I don't know, or Aztec pattern. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but that's what it makes me think of. So I'm just trying a new technique here. I wasn't sure if this was going to work, so I recorded it with hopes that it did work, and then if it didn't, we would reevaluate. So you're going to see me go through here, and I'm just lining up. I use my ruler and the grid mat here to help me create a good angle. And I'm sorry my arm is totally in the way, but you'll see it here as we go along. I'm trying to make it to where it's somewhat of a square pattern on the base of this paper, and I pulled out different washi tapes. They're from a whole bunch of different places. Some were Freckled Fawn, some were from Target, some were from some that somebody had sent me in a rack. I think some were Studio Calico. I have a whole bunch of them here, and you'll see them as we go along. So I took a break and now I'm back. It's another day, and I'm just going along the same pattern here. I'm just going to use them and alternate them. I started to use them in the same pattern and then I ended up changing my mind and varying it up a different way. I'm just using my ruler to help me tear these so I can get somewhat of a straight line on the sides and on the tops and the bottoms. The photo, as you can see at the top of my desk here, has a lot of orange tones in it because of the wood. There's neutral colored walls, but the door is wood, and then the floor is tile, but it's like an orangey brown tile. So I needed some color to balance that out. So I thought these blues and these grays would be just enough to kind of balance it back from all the orange and red tones in the photo back to just a more balanced looking or appearing layout. So you can see that's how it's going. I'm going to cut a little bit off the side here so I have just a little bit of less of a border than what I originally had. Do the same here. And again, at this point I'm still not sure this is going to work, so I'm just kind of going with it and we'll see what happens. This is one of those ideas you think up and you go, I wonder if that'll work, and you just try it. I have another one in mind, but I haven't figured out how to do it yet. So once I figure it out, I will do it and I'll share it with you guys. I always record it just in case it turns out to be brilliant, and then I want to share it. And sometimes after you do those things, it's hard to recreate exactly how you did it the first time. So I always try to catch it on camera just in case it ends up being great. Then I can share it. Still trimming down just to make it look right. Alright, back to alternating the tapes. You could really do this with any color scheme. Green and red would be really pretty for Christmas layouts. You could do it on the diagonal or straight, or make them horizontal lines or vertical lines, whichever way. It'll give you a different look both ways. You could use it on the background on a card. You could actually, a background on a card might be interesting. I might end up trying that at some point. You could use it to put it on just a solid piece of cardstock and then punch different things out of it. You can just do a number of things with it. So I thought it was kind of a nice, easy technique to use, but creates a big effect. And you'll see on my final layout, I do use a chevron pattern with neutrals and kind of a peachy color, and I use this to kind of brighten it back up, brighten the layout back up so it's not so dark and dull looking. Because even though the 12 by 12 sheet that I use as my background is not really dark, it's just dull looking. So this piece I've created here is just adds a little bit more brightness to it, I guess. And like I said, you'll see what I mean here in a little bit. It's taking me a little while to get through this, and I'm trying to figure out what to use on that last little tiny bit. But to finish it off, I'm going to use this bright color again. I really like this tape. It's wider. It's not as wide as that tall freckled fawn one you see, but it's wider. All right, so moving on to my photos here. I am going to flip through to see what works best. This kit that I'm working with and these papers that I'm working with I only have a few whole pieces left, so I'm flipping through just to see if there are any other photos I want to use, but the first one that I picked up is definitely what I will end up with, and it was just the first thing that really jumped out to me. Played around with that idea a little bit instead, changing the orientation of it and using a different photo, but I'm going to go back to this one. And I only have a few pieces of solid cardstock left. Full 12 by 12 sheets left. So I'm going to go with this one. And this is what I mean. So it's just kind of a dull looking pattern paper. I really like it, but the colors are just a little dull. So I'm going to use the piece I created to kind of brighten it back up. I'm going to cut a little bit of this door off so it's not just so glaringly obvious. So it ends up being probably about a 4 by 5 inch photo. It was originally a 4 by 6. Got a bunch of border strips here, different things that I've cut off throughout the month as I've used this kit. I keep my kits separated until I'm satisfied that they're pretty much done, and then I'll incorporate them in my stash with my scraps and with the rest of my supplies. But I'm still working with this kit in this layout. This is the last layout that I'm going to actually post. All the other ones have already been posted. There's this label that says Kinda Awesome, and I'm going to end up using it for my journaling down here in the bottom right where you saw me first lay it out. I'm going to use a couple of these border strips. I'm going to cut this one. It's not really cut straight. I vary it just slightly just to add a little bit of interest, but I don't want it as thick as it was. So I'm going to lay it right here at the bottom, and this is just one of the border strips I cut off of one of the sheets this month. Just using some Tombow Mono multi-glue to adhere it to the page. This is my favorite liquid glue to use. It dries super quickly, but does not dry so quickly that you get stuff stuck to your fingers. It's basically just the perfect medium in between. There's another border strip here I'm going to use as a horizontal element to kind of ground my photo and also give me a place to base a little bit more of my embellishment off of. Sorting through my different stickers here, my alpha stickers, and I was wanting to match it a little bit with that gray and the washi tape pattern I created. There's only that piece of gray on here, so I wanted to add a little bit more in the title just to make it look like it's not so random. And then the bottom border strip that I've already taped on or glued on here has a little bit more of a brownish gray on it, but it's close enough that it all ties in well together. So this is where you're going to see I screw up my title, of course. But for some reason, I guess just the pinks in the photo, my sister's pink shirt, the blues from the washi tape thing I created, it just made me think of Easter. And I don't know why that popped into my head, because I don't even think we spent Easter together this year, but it did. So that's what I was going with. And eventually I'll figure it out that this was so not Easter, and I'll change it. But for now, it's going to say Easter Boys. And that's going to go down there in the bottom left corner. I'm not posting these layouts, the process videos, in order, so you're going to see a couple supplies here that I've actually already posted in another video as used. So don't get confused. I didn't have all this stuff left by the end of the month. It's just that this is the last process video that I've edited and uploaded. So it is the last to go for this month. This was the November kit. I have these letter stickers, the gray ones that are really small under all of these things that I'm laying out. Are actually from Basic Gray, and I really like how tiny they are. They're perfect for subtitles. I'm really going to have to look for them in different colors as well. I like smaller alpha stickers, not thickers, but actual alpha stickers to use on layouts for, you know, subtitles, or to continue a larger title into something smaller but not make it look so overbearing. So this is not a perfect match, but I'm going to use the ampersand sign from these Jelly Bean Soup Alpha Beans that you see in the top left corner of the screen. It's not a perfect match to the teal in the washi tape pattern, but it's close enough to not make it look odd. So I press down that title nice and hard, and then I'll realize I screwed up eventually. So it's going to say Easter Boys and Happy Mamas, because it's both me and my older sister with our boys sitting on the floor playing. This was actually at Mother's Day is when this was, so it was just perfect. I always have fun whenever we all get to hang out together. It's nice to let our boys play together, and at this point my nephew was a little over 1, so he was really starting to get to the point where he was wanting to run around with Kaylin, whereas before he was always just not quite there yet, and Kaylin was full speed. So now that it's January, they are definitely up to speed with each other, but back in May they weren't quite there yet, but they were getting there. Typically what I'll do is, and you've seen me do this multiple times, I use my ruler, my Tim Holtz ruler right there, to line up my letters on, just to check the spacing and be able to move it around and see it in a couple different places before I actually adhere it to the page. And I did do that with this layout for a few moments there before I actually put it down. There's the other half of that border strip, but I'm still playing around with the idea of whether or not to put it on there. It will not make it on the final layout. I wanted to have a little bit more weight at the bottom where the title is, and I didn't want my title just floating, so that's why I added it down there. So I'm coming back to this sticker, looking for a place to put my journaling. I just wanted to tell a little bit about the story, and there's not much of a story to go with this, but it's just about the fact that there's the two boys and they're playing together. So I want it on there, and this layout has a mixture of whites and creams, so it's not a very limited layout. I guess I have a lot going on with the different colors. I have a lot of colors going on here, but they really fit well just because the photo has a lot of colors in it. I wanted to make sure that it was all balanced out. So until I actually adhere it down, I'm going to put this label sticker, I cut it off the sticker sheet, I'm going to put it down here to kind of rest for a bit, and so I'll come back to it to decide whether or not I like it. I do have this large label I thought about using to ground everything. It's just a bit too large for my liking, and I will end up taking it off. That's the one thing I do like about the Studio Calico kits. I get sent things that I probably would not have purchased, like that Hooray wood veneer. I probably wouldn't have purchased that. And definitely not these little transparent things, because I have a difficult time with those. But I like the challenge of playing around with them, see if I can find something that works. And I do play around with all of it, trying to figure out where things are going to end up, where they're going to settle down, where they're going to finally live. I like the challenge of figuring all of that out. I think that's probably why I like scrapbooking. And this is where I figure out that the title is wrong. It took me a minute. I stared at it for a minute and then I figured it out. This is totally the wrong title. So I'm going to change it to, and it slightly ripped my page there, which you can see right beside the boys word, but the E that I put there covers it up. So this is going to say little boys and happy mamas. I'm just happy I actually had the correct letters in this set of thickers, or I really would have been in trouble. But it worked. Everything worked out. So it says little boys and happy mamas. Nobody knows that but you guys and me. Everybody else sees the completed layout, and that's all that matters. There are these epoxy numbers in the kit. And I'm going to use the 2. I'm going to use this glassine bag that came to package some of the supplies in the kit. I love to use these, reuse these. I think they're a great way. They're a great layering element in the fact that you can they're slightly transparent. They're not completely see-through, but they are slightly transparent. And I love using them for layering on the layouts, especially when you have some bold colors underneath that'll shine through. But I'm going to use it to kind of break up the colors a little bit so I can add a little bit of a subtitle up here by the photo. There is also this 4x4 cut apart sheet that came in the kit, and I'm going to cut apart this one to kind of be about a 2x4 inch tag, and it says, "Let's be adventurers." There is definitely some adventuring in our future to be had between the boys and other future grandchildren that may come along for my parents. I'm using the 2 cut-off pieces to put on top and below the photo, just for different layering elements, and also to tie in a little bit more of that gray like I mentioned before. The photo was not mounted on one piece, so these 2 gray pieces kind of cover 2 of the corners, which helps kind of create a certain effect. So I'm going to do my journaling and just testing a couple different pins on the edge of this sticker sheet to see what actually works and which don't work. And this is the zip writer that I end up using, and it says, first thing says kinda awesome, and then it says, "These 2 are going to be trouble. I can already see it, but they definitely have a lot of fun together, even if it means bad times for the future." Or sorry, even if it means bad things for the future. I just see trouble being in our near future. These 2 boys are like fearless. They have no problem running and jumping and getting into things. And my parents have a lot of land, so that's definitely a possibility and an option for them in the future. So again, we are back to another day. This is one of those layouts that I just continue to work on and continue to work on. It took me a while to actually complete it, and I think it's just because there were a lot of different elements. I don't actually have a whole lot on the layout, but each thing that I put on here was not just ready-made and ready to go. I kind of created and piecemealed things together. Starting to adhere some things down, and you see Kaylin running and running and running and running in the background. I have this on fast forward, so it really seems like he's running a lot. This was before bedtime, so he was burning off a little bit of energy before he actually had to get in bed. And he's asking me for things. You see his little fingers popping up. So this is going to say, like I said, this is that epoxy number, and it has the number 2 as well as the word 2 below it. Trying to figure out how I want to lay this out. And then this "Let's Be Adventurers" is going to go up in the top left of the photo with that hooray banner right on top of it. I like the fact that the gray of the paper shows through the hooray cutout. I did try it in a couple other areas, and it looks best up there where it's a solid gray in the background instead of multiple colors showing through. So I'm going to use these Lily Bee Design ABC stickers. These are my favorite. I love these. The fact that you get 8 different colors, it's all the same font, but you do get 8 different colors on one sheet. That's crazy. I've had these for over a year and I continuously use them, and I will continue to use them. They have a lot of opportunity of different titles or different subtitles or sentiments on a card. There's just a lot of options here with this. So this is going to say 2 of a kind, and it's going to have that epoxy 2. It's going to go right above the of a kind. Because they are definitely 2 of a kind, that is for sure. I find that I adjust things a lot when I go back and edit these videos and watch as I'm creating the scrapbook. I find it interesting. If you don't do your own videos, I would suggest you just record yourself and then look at it, because it's kind of interesting the circles that I go in with moving things around and constantly adjusting and moving it slightly, and even if I move it slightly, you can't tell it was actually moved. Like, it's kind of funny just to reflect on yourself a bit in your creative process. I have this tag I'm going to use below my journaling spot just to add a little bit more of a place, kind of to ground this journaling spot. I'm going to add some dimensional adhesive on the back of this Let's Be Adventurers tag as well. And then that's where I'm going to add that hooray banner right to that Let's Be Adventurers. These little wood veneer would be perfect if they came with self-adhesive on the back, but they don't. But that would be amazing. That would make it so much easier. I had an issue with one of them curling, and it actually fell off the page. I did find it and fix it before it was lost or before it, got separated from the page. But it would be really awesome if they came like with the adhesive already on it. That would be amazing. That would be my suggestion to anybody that makes those really thin wood veneer. Let's put adhesive on the back. That would be awesome. I'm going to trim off the excess here that's hanging off the side. I really do like the back of that paper. It's kind of like a pink plank color. I really do like it. I don't know how I would have used it, but it's okay because I use this side and it doesn't matter. I have these stickers. There's a couple different ones on here, but I'm actually going to use one of the little tags here on the side of the photo. And again, that's just to bring a little bit more of a grayish element in to the mix. And then I do have this little like ledger paper, notebook paper that came off this page, off this, actually it looks like a Rolodex thing almost. It came off this sticker sheet, but I'm going to use it and just kind of curl up the ends a little bit of the notebook paper edge. And use that below the Let's Be Adventurers tag. It's all coming together now. I have just a few more things I'm going to add. Starting to clean up a bit and just see, and you will see Kalen's Carolina jersey and his football helmet appear here in a moment. I have a stack of these label stickers sheets. So I always periodically, if I feel like something small needs to be added, I'll go ahead and pull it in just to see if there's a way to add it and make it cohesive with the page I'm doing. I'm going to go back and forth a bit on a few of these elements. And I am going to take that clock off. Alright, and the last element that I am going to add here are just some enamel dots, and that's just to finish off the look and to bring your attention to certain areas. I love enamel dots. I think they're like one of my favorite scrapbook elements to use. All right. Well, thanks for joining me, and please visit my blog at www.designbymelody.com for more still shots as well as a complete supply list. Thanks!